At the end of the previous video, we left the vise in a pretty decent looking state. Not quite functioning, but we are very close. So the aim for this video is to get the vise finished. So the first thing we need to do is add a retaining nut or plate to the bottom of the moving jaw, and this should prevent the jaw from lifting up when we use it. And to make it, I'll use a piece of leftover 01 tool steel from the previous video. Now the fit doesn't need to be perfect, but that is a pretty good fit. Now to make sure I don't over tighten the clamping plate, I'm going to make a small spacer on the lathe. And thankfully, I seem to have made the spacer the correct length on the first go. With the moving jaw now done, I need to focus on making a soft jaw for the fixed jaw. Now there's a million ways I could have done this with different materials and shapes, but because I think I'm going to be modifying it sometime in the future, I'm going to make a quick soft jaw from some aluminium. The final thing I'll do for the soft jaw is add a V-groove, and this is so I can hold round parts. Now I don't currently have the correct V-cutter for doing this type of cut, and I might have had a bit too much eggnog prior to doing this, but I'm just going to make the V using the center cutting bit in the drill chuck. I know it's not the right way to do it, but this is only aluminium and it's a very low tolerance part, and this is a threaded chuck, so you can sort of get away with doing it. And with that now screwed in, it's now looking a lot more like a vise. Now the next thing I need to do is add the handle to the screw. Now I'm going to use some drill rod for the lever, and this is the right size that you'd use, but I do fear that if I simply drill a hole big enough for the drill rod, I'm probably going to weaken the end of the screw a bit too much, in that it might bend or distort under load. So instead I'll make a sleeve to go over it, and put a smaller pin through it, and that should hold it just fine. Alright, with the lever now in, the vise making section is pretty much over. The final thing I need to do is make a stand so I can mount it. I have a bunch of leftover hot rolled steel from a previous project, and this should work just fine. And look at that, the steel is pretty much flat even after hammering it off. So I'll take it to the mill and get it cleaned up. Our Moss & Mill's already set up. I'll also clean up a second plate. This one will bolt directly to the vise. The final thing left to do is make the column for the stand. The first one I'll make will locate into the base, and this will have a hole drilled through it. Now the second one which we'll make will connect to the top plate, and it will also locate into the hole which we drilled earlier. On the bottom piece, I'll drill and tap an M8 hole, and this will be for locking the top shaft in place. I'll then make a recess for the screw. On the bottom of the vise, I'll drill and tap 2 holes, and this will be for mounting it to the plate. And with that now done, I can now start to get it assembled. Now as a temporary solution, I am going to be using this red plastic screw, but when I get the materials in, I am going to replace it with a brass one. Alright, and that's the vise now done. It is a bit of a mishmash of materials and sizes, given that it was made with pretty much the rest of the materials that I have left over from all the projects that I did this year, but overall I'm really happy with how it's come out. It's a pretty solid vise and it's going to be a huge upgrade to my small worker space. Overall, great project to end the year on. Overall, I am pretty happy with it, and I think it's a great project to finish the year up with. Thanks for a great year everyone, and I hope you enjoyed these projects. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next year.